Welcome back to HSE AMA. I'm Julian Chinsky, joined by my co-founder, and today not a co-host, Justin Michael. Justin, for those of you who don't know, is an executive coach and a 4X best-selling author. What did I miss, Justin?
I think it's 5x now. I don't know. I stopped counting, but it's humbling. Definitely the best book ever was the one we did. I mean that.
Thank you. We have 25 minutes, and I guess
Let
we
it
have
ride.
50. Yeah, the questions keep coming.
I'll keep
Let's
my
go.
answers to one breath because that's what you do for voicemails, right, everyone?
Question one, what are the top three in an ideal tech stack for in an ideal tech stack for cold outreach and combos?
Right. So thematically, what most people are missing is that sending emails one at a time or making cold calls one at a time is primitive. Now, I see the reason to do that if you're working strategic accounts or calling C levels all day. But just like calculators were $1,000 and the prices come down, you should be able to automate your calls and emails affordably now. I won't mention all the vendors. And then, of course, you have to have Sales Navigator, critical. And yeah, we'll talk about whether you want to use Gmail soon.
How do you make sure your sales teams are being held accountable?
Wow. I mean, you really want people to be driven and motivated by reasons that they understand. So I would say your incentive structure creates accountability. But, I had an SDR team once and one rep kept going to networking events and getting tons of business cards and maxing their meeting quota and getting paid. So I just got rid of the meeting quota and it was only opportunities that were qualified and accepted by the AEs. So yeah, stiffen discipline and you'll never have to fire anyone. They'll just quit. It's in the book.
We have a question that I just have to just basically skip to the end of the question list. And the question is, what's a unique way to capture someone's interest in your service?
Oh man. I mean, the whole thing is people, they hate to be sold, they love to buy. So curiosity is the secret. Like if you look across everything in these books, um, if you're the most interested person in the world, you will be the most interesting. It's never about your service. It's always about a problem or a challenge they're trying to solve. And typically they don't even understand their goals. And it's usually like latent pain under the surface. So that's a trick question. I wouldn't.
Question from Jeremy Jones. How do you get an emotional commitment on a sales call so you get less pushback, such as I'm going to think about it or give me a few days?
Yeah, so my theory of everything, and I didn't put it in these books necessarily, but you have light bulbs go off, is I think that every sale has two parts, the emotional sale and the money. If you have a valuable product or service and the right ICP, the right ideal client profile, you should be able to close emotionally 100%. That means that they say, okay, I would have paid $200 or $500 for literally this discovery call, and I want it. Like you've created the desire and the polarity has shifted. So how you get through the money part, a lot goes into that, but I think you can, as long as you're targeting the right people, you can have anyone become emotionally invested if you use the techniques in the book.
How to use generative AI to help with prospecting?
Yeah, so we've gone into it in both volumes of Sales Superpowers and JMM 2.0. And I want to thank Greg Meyer and David Youngblood and Soham Sarkar for their help here. Basically, most people are using ChatGPT and basic prompting. They're just base prompting it. There are 12 styles of prompting GPTs in these books, and they will last even through to GPT-10. You can play a game with it where you quiz it with emojis. You can get it to think for you. You can give it a series of strategic questions, and it thinks about those, gets data, and then answers the next. And so there's some sophisticated ways of creating prompts, especially in book two, that I go into, but that never even occurred to me. I just kind of thought, ask ChatGPT a question, and it'll spit back some text, So Grammarly Go is a great resource for that, for on the fly. But read the entire AI superpower, Unleashing Your AI Superpower subchapter in book 2, and I think you'll have a lot of ideas.
Integrating BD call center with outbound lead gen efforts.
Well, it's interesting because the last call center I ran was going all inbound off of TV ads, but yeah, that's interesting. I know of one really smart lead gen operator. His name's Greg Casale. He runs a company called Reveneer. And he told me, I think it's okay to share, that he actually never kicks off the sequence until he has the human contact. And he's seen a huge jump that way. So imagine you never put someone in a sequence, you never contact them, LinkedIn, nothing until you actually talked, and then you kick off the digital part. So hard to do, but if you could get that human touch on the front of it, it's really powerful.
Justin, being your co-founder, I'm seeing a lot of people asking constantly, pretty constantly, questions about communications. And we tend to diminish the function of communication. Generally in the industry, we don't like categorize it, being sales, being marketing, and partially that's like your book is number one in sales and marketing, which is pretty rare for a seller. And I'm curious, what's your take on communication? Why is it so hard for everybody to communicate, to text? I know that you joke a lot about you coaching people how to write emails, how to write messages, but it's pretty much every aspect. And, starting with SDRs and executives and like every other function, you consult people how to communicate. What's the secret?
I feel like I'm the Cyrano de Bergerac of B2B, because what happens is people are quite good at communicating in their ordinary life or their relationships and, adult communication. However, the minute they have a profit motive, it pretty much destroys their ability to logically communicate. So the minute you want something from someone, like a meeting, or you want to sell a product, your subconscious intention changes, and your inflections, your tonality. So the best thing you could do is just detach from trying to sell anything. Just advise people, help people, get on the other side of the boardroom table from go, and just start serving and adding value. Because if you don't, your communication will come across as needy and reachy, and needy is creepy, and personalization gets taken too far. I mean, we hear CXOs complain. It's like, I didn't really want you to go on my Instagram or go to my Facebook page or find out what charity board I sit on. Like, that's my private life. You know what I mean? So yeah, B2B is a game of linguistics. Most of how we're communicating is through short bursts of talking or sending these tiny emails. Mainly, it's way, way, way too long and way, way, way too wordy. And I'm guilty of that with tech powered sales, although people love that. And that's why these books, I really concentrated. I went and reread Old Man and the Sea, Ernest Hemingway, and I worked with an editor in the UK to bring the Flesh Kincaid level of the book down to a high school reading level. However, the concepts in these books are not simple, but it's been simplified.
B2B is the game of communications. That's cool. Um, I'm curious, a lot of people, I mean, again, just based on the demand that we're seeing on the platform, um, they all want to actually drill communication as a skill. And then yet again, it's hard to, classify it, what function it is. Is it sales? Is it marketing? Is it generally communications, GTM? Curious your thoughts. What helped you shape your acumen in this regard? Because you always have the best joke, you always have the best reference, and obviously there are tools like Substrata, where helping you to know what's the balance that you mentioned. Am I creepy? Am I too needy? Am I like fine, confident? And we have Grammarly and all the good stuff. But what do you use? What helped you the most? What do you read? What do you watch?
Well, the last time I released a book about sales, tech-powered sales, I said that personalization of scale at scale was impossible, and it was relevance versus personalization. And then I released a Citizen Kane manifesto called the Illuminati Manifesto, which I invite you all to read. And it just basically makes a mockery of all B2B, SaaS, all the VCs, and everyone read it and just laughed because it was anonymized, like Citizen Kane by Orson Welles. I think it was, gosh, it might have been his 20s when he wrote it. Correct me on that. Now what I'm taking on with communication is the permission-based opener, because for some reason, the entire industry has standardized on permission-based. Did I catch you at a bad time? Can I get 30 seconds of your time? Which I believe lowers your status frame. As far as improvisation and being able to think on the fly, when I grew up in the 80s and 90s, people would say, hey, think before you speak. But when you're on the phone, you have no time. So it's learning to trust that little voice. And sometimes that inside thought in your head that you shouldn't say is funny, and just say it out loud. So a lot of times someone does something strange or rude or weird, and I tend to just say something and make them laugh. So I don't think at all. I react, but I do it in a comedic way. And I guess 20,000 hours on the phone helps, but I was always kind of like that. If you don't have that kind of quick on your feet personality, just focus on listening. Again, just be curious, keep asking questions, be fully there, turn off all your stuff and alerts. That's what I've got for that one.
How can I sell more?
Yeah, so selling is really service. So like kill your profit motive and decide that you're going to help the people. Don't worry about a quota or a number or a badge or getting notoriety or making a certain amount of money. Stand behind a solution or service or product that you believe in that adds value. And it's a very simple equation. Show up to the call and just help them, you know? And then it's in the second book, but it's like, I mean, I'm being interviewed now, so it's I have to drone on, but you want to move from talking to listening, from taking to giving, from trying to be impressive with your NASCAR slides and how awesome your product is, to making them the hero and them impressive, right? So if you want to sell more, you have to sell without selling. And that sounds like a Zen koan, like a proverb, like what's the sound of one hand clapping, you know, snapping, right? It's like a cosmic riddle, but it's your intentionality that's killing deals. They sense that. And that's why like the technique of route, ruin, multiply for phone was so powerful. Because if you're not trying to get time or sell them a product and you're just saying, hey, route me to the right person, it triggers the Good Samaritan principle and they just help you like a human. So we're in an era where decision makers are getting 300 emails a day, 100 robocalls a week. And if you're just human and normal, you will sell, because it's a severe pattern interrupt to what's out there. I mean, you look at Grant Cardone or Jordan Belfort. I mean, I love the Belfort YouTubes. He's like enthusiastic, like he's like fired up. I mean, he's got his Red Bull going, and Grant's got his coffee going, and that was an era, power pose, confidence, all that. But people just feel, I think now, what's the catch? Like, what's in it for you? I'm calm. I'm dead neutral. Like you listen to people landing planes, money 90197. I used to be in a call center and I'd do that voice. Yeah, what vehicles and auctions are you looking for? 190. It's just like full monotone, dead tired, 3 a.m. and it just cut like a hot knife because nobody talks to them like that. You can't read it. It's a poker face, the tonality.
Do you think about heuristics when you talk about this? Because just to like restate kind of the book and two of your books and your methodology, a lot of people like you basically created a methodology without talking too much that it's your method or anything. You just started sharing, outsourcing the whole thing on LinkedIn, and people started copying you, and they didn't give credit, and it kind of got lost in the LinkedIn wilderness. What's yours, what's not? And I know that um, a lot of your folks and people that work with you always, just bring up all those posts and actually tag you and give you the credit and stand up for you. So I'm curious to hear, and for everybody, like what is the Justin Michael method? What's the uniqueness? What's the complete vision of it?
So I would say at this point, 95% of email gurus or people selling email courses have been influenced or are leveraging open source principles from the Codex guides that were released in 2020 and some of these ideas that came in 2017. The whole idea of the Justin Michael method is like Eddie Van Halen with two-finger tapping. Now, he wasn't the first on earth to do it, but he popularized it in popular music. I was the first person ever to challenge the Agoge sequence and to prove that frequency testing is more important than the content. So before you do day 1, 3, 5, 7, 11, right? And I think it was a argument, would you do fast in the beginning and slower? I think Beck Holland had slow in the beginning and then faster and faster. But the problem with the Goji is the email is day 4, day 14 with a 10-day gap. So I did clusters. So I sent 7 touches omni-channel within 72 hours, which is like a swarm of bees. And that was extremely controversial, but it worked. And I think I was the first ever to suggest that. So I see my codexes all over the world. I confront sometimes these email gurus and I'm like, hey, you're using my guides. Like, do you want a tribute? He's like, oh, I've never heard of it. I've never seen it. Well, I just wrote 96,000 words explaining it. So if you can't do that, then you probably didn't write it, you know? But emulation is the highest form of inflammatory, of flattery. So what is the JMM? Um, so it comes down to 3 distinctions. One, the human mind can't read emails. Like it just can't. The whole brain is visual. So like text is pictograms, like hieroglyphics. Therefore, email is not words, it's visual. So there, you know, the tombstone, Justin Michael, email is visual. And then phone, since Jordan Belfort and Wolf of Wall Street has been phone equals tone and scripts. Nope. Phone is polarity shift. It's a power transfer. And yes, and then governing all of that is the concept of heuristics, which is a shortcut. My father was a linguist PhD, but credit to Dave Hoffeld too, as this exceptional book called The Science of Selling, and he has all these tests with rats. And I'm more of an armchair neuroscience. I don't refer to academic papers. No rats were harmed in my book. But yeah, I mean, heuristics are guardrails. They are things like social proof, humor, specificity, brevity, pain, fear, emotional resonance. The bottom line is that, again, 98% of email is toward pleasure, and humans react through loss aversion and risk aversion. And it is something that Tony Robbins talks about on a motivational level, but no one's ever applied it as a system to language. So when you write an email, like you could make, you know, 70% revenue return. Like, why not say you could lose 30%, you know, flip it. So like most sellers want to paint a good picture and be optimistic and show the customer or the prospect a far better way. And I would argue you need to kind of wake them up and scare the hell out of them a little bit. So that's so manipulative. You're using all this, you know, neuroscience and NLP and game theory, and you're doing all this. And I was like, yeah, but when they buy it, they make 3 to 15x return, and that's right and good. That's ethical. If I manipulate you to buy a product and it transforms your business and you make a ton of more money and fix all the problems and your employees love you, is it, you know, is it here or there? So I think I feel justified. Now I don't go gray hat. I don't use your personal email. I don't double tap your phone. So you worry there's a death in the family or something, but I'll push the envelope, uh, you know, as far as I can in your interest.
You have a very interesting career in terms of the companies that you work for and those are, you know, the leading companies in the world. I'm curious, what's your selection? Because you just mentioned that the product has to transform the world of the customer for the better, but I guess it just happens in reality, like probably 5% of the time, if at all. So I'm curious,
Yeah,
how do you view this transition from sales to customer success product? And as a seller, how do you make a choice what company to work for?
great question. So first of all, I'm like, if you've seen the movie, the the movie Rudy, with the guy that finally makes it to the football team, or if anybody's a fan of Spud Webb, who's like under 6 feet and he could dunk. I just got rejected more than you. That's all. I applied to thousands of jobs. Like LinkedIn turned me down, Salesforce turned me down, and I ended up working for both. Um, I have this in the book. It's the trifecta of hiring. One, you have a non-toxic boss that is a good human, screen and back channel. Number 2, you have product market fit, PMF. What's that? If you ask that question, like that's the whole reason you're not selling. Number 3, upside, not dream state hallucination, like humans have been paid, and your CFO isn't sales prevention. Now, let's now run the trio, okay? You love your boss. He's great. Product's amazing. CFO is a blocker. That's hell. You're never getting paid. You love your boss. The comp plan's awesome. There's no PMF. Nothing ever sells. You love your boss. There's a great a compliment. No, what's the third one? I'm gonna lose it. But you see what I'm doing? Like, so you have to have those three, and you should screen for it. And remember, anything in this life you wait for it to come to you will suck. You need to go after cold call VPs of sales, cold call hiring managers. Like, get in their face. Go after. I have this rep Connor, if you're listening in UK. He's going after OpenAI. He's like, he won't take no for an answer. They keep rejecting him, and he's just going at them. And that's a champion. I love it.
A lot of people, I guess like 90% of the audience who actually read both of your books. And I'm curious, Justin, what's not in the book?
Well, there are some Easter eggs, bonus material. There's a paper I wrote, a secret paper, which obviously isn't secret now, called Musifestation, which is musical visualization. It's all about just like you're getting your mind right and listening to sacred geometric music that's tuned to the solfeggio scale, chakra aligned, and it's just fun. It's more neo-transcendental. So check that paper out, musifestation.com. It's referred in the book. Um, Additionally, there's the Illuminati Manifesto, which is a great piece of satire. So I recommend you check that one out. And then there's the 17 codexes in all their glory. And this is the operating system behind the codexes. I always joke that they were dropped off in the forest on gold tablets from a spaceship, but no one will believe me.
Let's address some of the questions here. Not a question, but just stay curious to hear your thoughts on outreach to public sectors, long cycles.
Oh man, I would ask Tony Hughes for that. He's done a lot of government deals. There's some folks in the groups that have done more big government deals. I mean, for the public sector, the only thing I'll say is that multi-threading, developing 11, even 24 stakeholders, it's like a political campaign. I haven't done a bunch of public sector selling, but I have some clients now that are going after the DoD. And I have a client who is a captain in the Army, so and sells to defense. So you just got to understand their sales process and map that back. That's what I would say. Mark Raffin's a good guy to talk to. He's a negotiation ninjas, a good resource because he was on the procurement side. Make friends with someone that was a buyer. That's a really cool piece of advice. So Mark Raffin, Raffan.
Best ways to accelerate long sales cycles.
Yeah, so buyers buy. It's a Yogi Berra-ism. The fastest sale is to your competitor. We all have that friend who has the Volvo or the Subaru and says, wow, it has 500,000 miles on it. It's a tank. I've had it for 9 years, right? People that lease Mercedes lease BMWs or Porsches for their significant other. If you find someone embedded with a competitor, they know the process. They've bought before, and there's 91 solutions in the stack. I did a 600K deal with unseating 5 competitors in it over one lunch because we had technology to reduce fraud for mobile analytics. And he was bragging that he had 40% fraud and an unlimited budget and he could buy whatever vendors he wanted. So we fixed that and that was good.
Justin, a lot of people you did kind of series of posts about this. How do you learn, right? You know, basically outsource the majority of your system, not all, but huge chunk of the methodology just technically for free for everybody to use and leverage. And I'm curious your thoughts on, some people think that they can read the book and be as excellent as you are, and there's no necessity in coaching. So, what's your philosophy when it comes to coaching? Why people need
Yeah.
a coach? Who needs a coach? What do you get?
Well, sales is an unnatural act, like heli-skiing. So if you read the book on helicopter skiing, and we push you out on the top of the cornice at Mammoth on the backside, you will not live. You know what I'm saying? And you will do average if you wing it in sales, and you will be average if you use traditional methods. A lot of those methods have a red cover. and are derived off other methods. And if you talk to Todd Capone, they're actually all 100 years old. And mine is specifically written to fork that. You need to practice, and you need to work with someone who will bring out the best in you and be honest with you and push you and hold you accountable. So that's key. And yeah, I do that with people. I sit with them a few months, transform their lives. They double their income, 5x their income. I've been teaching people how to side hustle. Most salespeople are terrified to lose their health insurance or piss off their company, but they all need an additional income stream because the commissions are up and down. So Uncle Sam or whatever your tax municipality is, they don't care as long as you pay taxes. So if you are interested in right now, literally in Q1 of 2024, opening up an additional income stream right now, talk to me, because why not make an extra 60 grand a year like that?
A lot of people are just, writing comments. I want to crush it, how to crush it, um, how to find big ticket deals.
Hmm.
Lots of question about this.
Your best bet is slow down. Find a little snail in your garden, or if you're in nature, get to nature, put your feet in the sand, find a little snail and do that. Slow down. Find one prospect, go deep. Stop shotgunning your calls. Have a 20-minute conversation. Ask someone on LinkedIn to get on a coffee chat and just listen to them. You're moving too fast, you know? That's the key. Like, you got to focus, and that's where it comes from.
What's your favorite time management skill or process that works for you?
I don't do like the Pomodoro, although I love Italian food. And ate my way through Italy. I would just say realize the 80-20 rule is everything. So like 80% of your day is waste if you're not thoughtful about it. 20% of your time is effective or more effective. So if you're not intentional reviewing your day every day and thinking, where did I win? What was the highest leveraged activity? Now, I found that just sitting on a power dialer and calling only chief revenue officers was the highest activity. And I used to do that as an exhibition, and it's feels like base jumping with a wingsuit on because you're calling these high power people, but that's the beauty of the phone to this day. Whatever you're afraid of, do two things that scare you by lunch. Feel the fear and do it anyway. That's the key. That's a Jack Canfield, but I like that one.
What's your favorite? Oh, well, a lot of people are asking, what does your daily routine look like? Lots of questions about the routine.
Yeah, so when I prospect, it's more effortless. If you watch someone doing Aikido, there's not a lot of effort or force. It's just flows. So I have many projects with Julia, and I am actively prospecting all of them. And I try not to think about it. I try to stay in the moment, be present, and just think from the viewpoint of the person in front of me, what matters to them, what's going on in their world. And then I just communicate from that place, from their eyes. So it's like, at this point, I don't really measure anything anymore, but I've been doing this for 22 years. Um, Take breaks, be intellectually curious, feed your mind. Don't overwork yourself. And you can do more in 2 hours than you can in an 8 hour day if you're doing the right things. I know we're out of time.
We are, unfortunately, we have really a lot of questions, so probably we need to do this
Do another.
round again. Yeah, just to
Yeah,
Michael round three. Who
like I
are you
always say.
most
Okay.
who are you most excited to work with? And yeah, what people would benefit the most from your coaching?
People that want to change their lives, like you're thinking, okay, 2024, a lot of bad things in the world. I'm in a holding pattern. I'm stuck. So just gonna try to get through it. Just it's not like that. Like seize the day, seize the moment. We have a very short time on this planet. So if you have the will to really change your life, then talk to me, because I waited 15 years, 20 years. I waited so long through recessions and ups and downs and wars to finally get that unshakable belief to become what I wanted to be. So get really clear about what you want in life and take action now. That's what I'd say.
Thank you so much, Justin. And you gotta do something special. I don't know. What are we giving away? It's December.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is I'll do the first session for $500. I usually do 2000. I know that sounds like a lot, so hit me up. Also, I have a workshop for creating a side hustle called Side Hustle Mastery, which I'm doing for, I don't know, I think, well, you can look at the pricing. If you're interested, hit me up. I'll work with you. I gotta go.
Thank you so much. See
Thanks
you.
for everything. Great to see everyone. Appreciate you.